Why was Gödel so convinced humans had this spark of creativity? The key to his belief comes from a deep conviction he shared with one of the few close friends he ever had, that other Austrian genius who had settled at the Institute, Albert Einstein.
Einstein used to say that he came here to the Institute for Advanced Studies simply for the privilege of walking home with Kurt Gödel. But what was it that held this most unlikely of couples together? Because on the one hand you've got the warm and avuncular Einstein, and on the other the rather cold, wizened and withdrawn Kurt Gödel. And the answer, I think, comes from something else that Einstein said. He said that God may be subtle, but he's not malicious. What does that mean? What it means for Einstein is that however complicated the universe might be, there will always be beautiful rules by which it works. Gödel believed the same idea from his point of view to mean that God would never have put us into a creation that we could then not understand. The question is, how is it that Kurt Gödel can believe that God isn't malicious, that it's all understandable? Because Gödel is the man who has proved that some things cannot be proven logically and rationally. So surely God must be malicious. The way he gets out of it is Gödel, like Einstein, believes deeply in intuition, that we can know things outside of logic because we just intuit them. And they believe it because they have both felt it. They've both had their moments of intuition, just like Cantor had had his.
The frustration for Gödel was getting anyone to understand him.
I think people very often, for some reason, misunderstand Gödel, certainly his intention. Gödel was deliberately trying to show that what one might call mathematical intuition. I mean, he referred to what he called mathematical intuition, and he was demonstrating, clearly in my mind, demonstrated that this is outside just following formal rules. And I don't know, some people picked up on what he did and said, well, he's shown there are unprovable results and therefore beyond the mind. What he really showed was that for any system that you adopt, which in a sense the mind has been removed from it because the mind is used to lay down the system, but from there on it takes over and you ask what's its scope. And what Gödel showed is that its scope is always limited and that the mind can go beyond it.
Here's the man who has said certain things cannot be proved within any rational and logical system. But he says that doesn't matter because the human mind isn't limited that way. We have intuition. But then, of course, the one thing he really must prove to other people is the existence of intuition. The one thing you'll never be able to prove.
Using mathematics to show the limits of mathematics is psychologically very contradictory.